Hello, hello, good morning, and happy Monday. I was trying to run this again because I kind of didn't get to it last night, and the it's still failing. So let's see, it's failing on the creating the bucket policy and the CloudFront distribution. Let's see, it's saying malformed policy, invalid principle in the policy. So it doesn't like this. I wonder if it's just supposed to be the no. I don't really have much other things that I can do in here. Just I guess just the ID, but that doesn't make any sense to me. So I do wonder whether or not I mean, so this all worked when I did it for my day job, but I followed the Python version instead of the TypeScript one, and that seemed to work better for me. I don't know. We'll have to figure out what's going on with this stuff too. Uh, so I wonder, like, do we really need this? I might have to like check that code base and compare it to this one because I did write it in TypeScript, but it's just not working this time. So I've clearly done something differently, which is not cool. Also, their examples don't seem to work, so that's also not cool. Um, all right, so we'll have to play with that a little bit later. Other things that we can work on. So I went through and created like a list of things like, okay, this is what we need to do before we start actually coding. The next one is going to be another DevOps thing, which is setting up, what is it called? Setting up logging. So we want to get sec logging. So first of all, we want to start building out a sort of like a Docker infrastructure. So closing this for a second. Oh yeah, I did save these things. I'm gonna go ahead and revert all these changes. Oh, I guess I also switched the names of the thing. Well, yeah, I'll do that later. No, I'll do whatever. I'll deal with all the Git stuff later. Okay, so closing you. Do we have any Docker files in here right now? No, we don't. So I'm gonna want to create a Docker Compose specifically for development. Danny Depresso, hello. Happy Monday. I'm gonna want to set up sort of like a Docker Compose for development side. And that's usually where I would use it anyways. We might have like something for like running in production later, at least for like the back end side of things. But for the front end, I think that we only need this for local development. So we are going to create and let's see. Let me think about this, because is that really true? If I want logging, actually, I probably want to use it separate, because like logging is going to be true for any application that I built, not just this front end. So it doesn't go in this repo. It's going to go in. It's going to go in some other repo. Possibly database. Those are things I need everywhere. So maybe this would. I guess in this repo for local development, I want to create a version of all those things here still. So I don't know. I'm gonna create it here, but then we might. Mainly because I don't know how I want to organize it yet, and so as we go through, I guess we're gonna do supple design for our GitHub repos too, which is gonna be interesting. This is also an argument for mono repos to cap just sort of everything together, but I haven't found any good mono repo tools. Everybody that I know just talks about the ones that like Facebook or Google has, but those are all private tools. I don't know of any good ones that are like open source that like don't suck. Okay, so we're gonna create a Docker compose.yaml file. Now I also need to set up Docker. Do you know of any good mono repo tools, or at least like not like, basically what I'm thinking of is if we're gonna have like a database, a back end and a front end, I want them deployed separately, but there's some shared things. Like if I want to spin up a developer environments all together, having those all in one place could be really handy. And so I could create like really like different repos for all these different things. Maybe have, but then if I want them all together, I want a single Docker Compose that pulls them all together too. So I don't know. I have to. That's sort of like something I want to figure out. Is like how do I architect and keep that up to date with each other? We haven't created a logging repo yet, so it's probably not a problem right now. But we'll figure it out. Okay, so first of all, I want to know is what version of Docker Compose do we have? Uh, 1.29. And does that mean okay, so file reference, compose specification. So you just get into it now. And is this... So this is saying the version top level is deprecated and no longer good to use. You should only use it if you have to handle older versions of Docker Compose. So the question is, what version do I need? Top-level name property is defined by the specification as project name to be used if user doesn't set one explicitly. Compose implementation must offer a way for user to override this name and should define a mechanism to compute a default project name to be used if the top-level name element is not set. Oh, okay, so I can set a top-level name if I want to, but that's not necessary. Okay. So version is no longer a thing. What I really would like is if it says what version of Docker Compose can handle this. That would be really nice. But I'm not seeing. I'm not seeing this. Okay, so let's just go after it. Apparently, name it's going to figure out from the name of the folder that it's in. But we can override that. So let's try that. So we're going to have name is going to be Brooks builds platform dev. Okay, then next is going to be services. So we can see that's like here's the name of our services. Inside of services, we're going to have the name of each service. So in this case, we're going to have our logger. So login service, and we're going to have. Now, if I could build our UApp in here and have it running, that'd be really nice. So let's put our front end. Okay, so build specifies the build configuration for creating container image from source as defined in build support documentation. It is using the image from someplace else. Interesting. Okay, so Bulkio config. Interesting. Oh, defines a set of configuration options to set block IO limits for the service. Okay. Is that just an example? Okay, so that's tabbed into here. Okay. Okay, so CPU accounts, I don't really care about that for development purposes. Let's cap. Oh, container capabilities. That's interesting. Right now, it's probably okay to have all of them. Command overrides the default command. I don't think we need to do that. Configs, got access to configs. Okay. Okay, so we can have it generate a name, I think. You can have end file. Okay, so let's start with sec is going to be under Docker Hub here. Can I actually find this? I think they actually said that there was a Docker for us. Aha, okay, so here's the Docker Hub container. So it's datalust sec. So I guess this was that image. Sec. Sure, we can get the latest just to make sure we've got that. Updated a month ago, so it's being actively updated. We saw this one uses an image like that. Okay, so Okay, so let's go through here and see what else we need. So we have running an initially unsecured sec instance with container local storage and all services on, which is probably fine for local dev work. So, okay, so Docker run, daemon mode, start, unless stopped. Okay, so we have to have this accept EULA environment variable. Defines environment variables. Okay, environment. And it is just like this. So you're going to be Y. And you are colon like that. Port inside the container, it's port 80. I think that's I can always get it backwards. Inside I think it's port 80, outside it's port 5431. So we want to exposes container ports. Port mapping must not be used with network mode host. And okay. So yeah, host container. So we're going to do like this. And okay, we're going to do 5431, I think is what they were suggesting. It doesn't really matter in the end, but 5431, I'm okay with that. And then colon 80. Okay, let's check latest, which we've already gotten. Is there anything else? Run a sec instance with initial admin password storage mounted from the host. Path to sec data. The UI mapped on the host to localhost 80 and localhost 5431 or 5341. Map to allow ingestion only. I wonder if we want to set a data volume on this so we can configure it once and then we're okay after that. Okay, so they do this to create a password for it. And then when we run it, we can set first run admin password hash equals this password hash. Oh, look at that. They need, okay, never mind. They need both port 80 and port 5341. Interesting. UI mapped to the host at localhost 80. Yeah, okay, so it needs both those. F431 5341. Bullfristad, hello. And then they have port 80, which I am not a huge fan of. So let's do something like 8085. It goes to port 80 inside. That would be another argument for some kind of like single repo where we have all of like the dev environment spun up together is then we can like track which ports are for which thing. Because it would be very easy for me to accidentally set something else that I'm working on here, and then when I run both them, it just, it's annoying. But like annoyances you want to get rid of if possible. I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. How are you doing? I've been last couple nights I got better sleep, so I'm actually feeling more aware today. Yesterday was a little bit rough to begin with. Data is the sec data directory. So, okay, we can create a volume. Is it volumes or volume? You go back from the gym and you already got your 10K steps in. Oh, nice. Ooh, 425 pounds. I mean, that feels like a lot. I never did. I did some squats, but it was like very easy for me to accidentally hurt my back on them. So I ended up stopping doing that, and I mostly do jogging these days. Okay, so what am I looking for? Oh, volumes. I want volumes. It's all in alphabetic order, which is nice. Okay, so it's volumes, and then we can have the short syntax. Okay, so we can have a centralized volume like this. And I think that it's just going to be name of the volume, and then the container path, and then this is optional, because it's probably going to be rewrite, yeah. Going to the gym is like, I agree. It's so much better when you have friends. I do remember I once had a gym buddy that I went with, and it was actually easy to go to. Otherwise, it's just so like just one excuse, and it was like, okay, I'm done now. I don't have that now. Unfortunately, like the pandemic took a lot of those things away. So now it's like. Now it's rough, and I have to like go outside like on my own and do stuff. Usually during lunch right now, and that's hard. Okay, sort syntax. So name of the volume. Okay, so if I do the volumes, is it an array? It is. So we're gonna do. Name of the volume is I guess like logging data, and I want to put this in /data is where they put it. Okay. Other environmental stuff they have here is this sec first run admin password hash. So I need a password hash for this, which I think we can use using this docker run command that they give us to create a password hash. So this one. This will give us, okay, so this will run a hash, and then we want to pipe into it some kind of password. And that's where that echo comes from, where we can just say, okay, echo. So if I just do like something and pipe into here, okay, this would be the password hash coming out. So if I want to name this something like keyboard cat, I would take this, put that into there like that. Okay, we got those ports. Except base URI can optionally specify the external URI used to reach the set container. I don't think I need to do anything like that. Keyboard dolphin. That could be interesting. Well, we can use another one for that. Don't usually have dolphins crawling over my keyboard, but you know, I don't live near the sea either, so I assume that this may be a problem for people who live, like, you know, near the ocean. Or on boats. Other configuration settings shown by secconfig can be set using environment variables with sec underscore as a prefix. So, okay, so I could do sec API ingestion port to change the ingestion port. Nice. Okay, so if it's crashing, to give us some stuff for us to do. SecImage uses a few tagging schemes. You can control how far you want your instance to upgrade. This is like latest is fine for right now. And then license, okay, we're accepting that. So this should now run the sec service for us. And then the volume should keep that around. So as long as I don't do a full down and delete the volume, we should be fine. So if I run this now, so a docker compose up, okay, so in the file, services image must be a mapping and not a string. Image specifies the image to start the container from. Image must follow the open container specification. May omit it as long as there is a build. So we don't have a build. This looks like exactly what I have here. So are you telling me that that you hate it because it's the wrong version of the Docker Compose file? Must be a mapping, not a string? Oh, that feels weird. Okay, I want to look to see if they have any examples today. There are 2 scroll bars, and the outside one controls the. Okay, that's kind of weird. Okay, they don't have any examples. Cool. All right, so if it must be a mapping, that would be similar to this. We would say image, like an array? That doesn't make any sense. You can only have one image. Must be a mapping, not an array, okay? Ports must be a mapping, not an array. I don't trust this. I don't like this anymore. We're going back. We're going back to version 3. So version 3.8. I just don't trust this anymore. Version 3.8. Well, so here's the thing. If you go to the new compose specification, yeah, that's the one. It has a section on this. Version top level element. The top level version property is defined by the specification for backward compatibility, but is only informative. It's not needed anymore. Like, it's so strange. Also, good morning, Dota 2 attitude. It's strange. But okay. So I have, well, see, that's the thing is, like, I don't really believe this. Like, well, something that I'm a little bit bothered by is that there's nothing in this document that I can tell that tells me what version of Docker Compose I need to be running this. Because it's now a legacy version for version 3. Isn't that weird? So, about versions. Okay. Maybe you can tell me? All right. Oh, we're at 1.29. Oh, Docker Engine release. Oh, okay. So hold on. Docker version? No, because that's just Docker. I want. Is there a Docker engine? Maybe I can actually get information from Docker itself, like the GUI. Docker and okay, so Docker Engine. I'm on version 20.10.13. Oh, you want to look into update configuration of one or more containers? Yeah, I haven't really done that. I usually just tear everything down and then bring it back up again. That's usually what I end up doing. Okay, so configure. Okay, so Docker Engine is 20.10.13. Looking at this documentation, Okay, that would be this new compose specification. That would work with it. But I am not seeing it work properly. So I think we have to have a version and use version 3 until I just figure out what's going on with this, because I just like, I don't know. I can't figure out why it's like weird stuff. It's weird. So we're gonna do version. So in here, in this version is absolutely essential and required. So you can see here, now they have 3.9 here, and 3.9 is not even available. So, you know what version the compose file was originally written in? No, I don't. Here's an example, right at the top. This is nice. Why don't they have this in the other one? They have version 3.9 here, and version 3.9 isn't even available unless this is that. If this is 3.9, then does that mean I can do a name? So a name would be Brooks builds platform dev. Okay, so services, we'll bring in sec. Environment, we'll do these things. This is our keyboard cat. Ports, we have that. Okay, so if I now try to, oh wait, course fine. Image, make this back to like a reasonable image. Okay, let's try this again. Service image must be a mapping. Oh. Yeah, wait, how did I lose that? I thought I had like a logging. Did I delete that by accident? I must have. Okay, I think that's what it was. Invalid because name does not match any of the regexes. Okay, so I can't do name like this. But if I remove the version, yeah, okay. So I have to do a name. I don't think mine is available for this. Name volume is used in service logging, but no declaration risk count. Okay, so right. I could swear that you could just do a one-off like this, but I guess not. We'll create a volumes. And inside of here, I think it's just logging data. And I don't need to tell it anything special. That's just what it is. Try it again. Okay, so it created the network, created the volume. Five, 3, 4, 1 port is already allocated. Wait a second. Am I still running sec from the last time we played around with it? Hold on. Oh yeah, that's okay. You're going to die. Also, all of you, go away. I don't need you anymore. Okay, so reset everything. Docker compose up. Yeah, there is some cool volume stuff you can definitely do. Okay, so sec is listening now on here. Okay. So now if I go to 8085, oh yeah, if you do a volume like this, if I do a Docker Compose down, it doesn't delete the volume, which that is really nice. We found that out with the database volumes. Okay, so we're gonna go to localhost 8085, and that's gonna be our sec username. I want to say is gonna be admin and keyboard cat. Never save. Okay, we're in. So we have a sec here, and then I should be able to send some logs in using the ingest, which is this port 5431. Am I getting into microservices? I have been getting into some microservices in my day job. For this one, it doesn't really make sense for like the Brooks Builds platform right now to go into microservices yet. But I'm trying to like learn some of the patterns that make sense for us, but I feel like there's so many advanced microservice patterns that would just end up making us go bankrupt if we try to implement them too early. Make sure you understand aggregates and domain-driven design. Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff I don't understand yet, which is also why I'm only doing like, it's like tiny little steps into like understand what's happening, change. Yeah, I can totally see that. I can totally see that. Our current sort of like thought process is, instead of microservices at our day job, I'm sort of pivoting us into micro monoliths, if that makes sense. So if we have a series of related functions that we need to run, instead of creating like 15 Lambda functions that just like pass data back and forth using, sending messages to each other through like SQS or something, maybe we should just create a single Express application, just using Node.js as an example here, and then have those like functions in there. It just does all the things and then returns it. I kind of like that. Whereas we still have separate like concerns, but like if a single thing needs like multiple functions, you can still have the separated functions broken out in their own little code files, but then they're all deployed together. Currently, that's my new favorite. But like many things, I change my mind quite often as soon as we run into problems, learn from it, and continue moving forward. That's the only thing that I think that we can do, really. All right, so moving on, we have sec. I think people think of microservices as some clever way to avoid the penalty of bugs. So microservices, there's this idea in solid design, in OOP design, which there's a lot of solid which I like. There's some of it that I don't agree with, and some of it that I just absolutely love and agree with a lot. And one of it is independent compilability, independent deployability, which is lost on like in more recent times. But the idea was, let's say you have a C++ code base, or just a C code base, and C++ probably is a better example for this. We could actually use Rust for this too, because like Rust is very in this way, Rust is very similar to like how C++ was back in the old days. And what I mean by that is long compile times. It would just take forever to compile your stuff. So what you want to do is you want to minimize compile time. So they invented all these different architecture structures to help minimize that. And it turns out by separating concerns in the way that they did, it also helped debugging, helped write code faster, and helped not accidentally like causing problems when deploying. Which is like, okay, win-win-win. And so the idea is, okay, if you write code in one section, only that one section should be recompiled when you go to recompile, not everything else. And so that's where like interfaces and everything else sort of came up, and just say, okay, nothing else needs to be recompiled for this. Like we can use traits and other things in Rust to do the same thing. And that's what I'm thinking that microservices kind of forces you into is, okay, I need to like think about how to build this one thing separately and then do that. I feel that it's very helpful for like forcing you to think in that way. Because hey, they actually are separated. The way to fix bugs is to fix bugs, yeah. The way also to fix bugs is to have tests. And like if you have microservices, the testing requirements are vastly different. Because you can't just test your own thing anymore. You need to test the entire system together, which is really hard. I haven't figured out a good way to do that yet, besides an in production test. Like I think that would be the only real way to do it. Unit tests are good, but we also need, because like you could have every single microservice running and working correctly independently, but then when they all come together for integration, they don't actually work because they're like passing things that they don't understand, and so they properly handle the errors, but then they don't do the job they're supposed to do. It's like you need some kind of system to like make sure that the microservices are connecting to each other properly, and that's going to be more automated testing, but now for the whole. It's going to be a full integration test in production and in dev, and it's it can get really expensive really quickly. So I think what I'm trying to say is that if I want to do microservices for Brooks Build's platform thing here, I'm gonna need a lot more. I'm gonna need a lot of like, I'm gonna grow it so big that it makes sense to switch into microservices. So I guess like in 10 years we'll see whether or not I've grown big enough to require that. All right. Okay. So if I have this, okay. So great. This is working. I also. Oh, we could try sending something. Let's see if I do a. Don't think we ever did one out. So let's create a new request. I think it's a post to HTTP localhost 5341. Okay, so sec now. Okay, so I want to put something in. So using sec, getting logs into sec. So I want just HTTP. Okay, so we're gonna 5.3.1. Okay, so it's gonna be a post to /API. Okay, this. They're using this clef format, which we remember before. So we have properties of the data, and I think it's. Oh, didn't it say? Is it a JSON or is it going to be www URL encoded? I don't remember. Let's try JSON. Because it's JSON object. Okay, so required, so at T is required, and it's gonna be a timestamp. Let's see. Not good, sure how good this article is. It's pretty telling that when you do Google search, you didn't find any good websites. Yeah, that's a problem that I've noticed, especially in like this DevOps architecture world. There's a lot of things here. Okay, I'll take a look at this a little bit later. Do like a full dive through. There's a lot of text, so it would take me a while to like really like sit with this and ingest it. Don't want to do that in the stream right now. Oh, just a picture? Yeah, hold on. Just a picture. Which there's a couple of them. Domain model pattern. Hold on. We can share this. Nope, wrong keyboard. This keyboard, like that. And I'm sorry, this is not dark mode, so cover your eyes. I'm gonna go to this one. Shoot. Also need to open up hold on. You go up here again and you come down here so I can see chat still. Oh, the first one. Okay, so this one. So you have the microservice architecture uses services as a unit of modularity. Each service corresponds to a business capability, which is something an organization does in order to create value. A microservices-based online store, for example, consists of various services, including order service, customer service, and catalog service. So yeah, these are like different things that we're doing. Each service has an impermeable boundary that is difficult to violate. As a result, the modularity of the application is much easier to preserve over time. The microservice architecture has other benefits, including the ability to deploy and scale services independently. Yeah, so that's what goes into bad. So then you say the last one too. Let's go into the, oh, nope, that's comments. Then the last one. So in this architecture, each service's business logic consists of one or more aggregates. Each transaction performed by a service updates or creates a single aggregate. The service maintains data consistency between aggregates by using events. And last one, let's see. So your API links to several microservices separated by domain space. They aren't like tech stack things. There's a cycle in there. Yeah, and this is like something where I need to spend more time understanding. Service C, I guess doesn't go out. Well, I guess this one goes out, like aggregate. So like this thing, interesting. A distinctive benefit of this approach is that the aggregates are loosely coupled building blocks. They can be deployed as a monolith or as a set of services. At the start of the project, you can use a monolithic architecture. Later, as the side of the application the development team grows, you can then easily switch to a microservices architecture. So I think even though you're saying like this is bad, like I see the benefit of this when the team is really small. And that's kind of where I am right now with my team at work. It's just one team for all the services. We don't have like one team per service or one team per sort of like section of the app. They're just one web services team. No, it's just me and some other people. And so like I'm creating what makes it okay, so smaller teams would benefit from a more microservices architecture, right? Because they can all work independent of each other and they don't have to worry about stepping on each other's toes. I think that's where small teams working independently, being aware of each other, but not having to be like super aware of the details of what each other are doing. I think that this is where something like this works out really well. Or wait, maybe it's, well, that's where like microservices are helpful now on, because they're not in the same repos, potentially, causing merge conflicts and other fun things. Whereas this one, a small team, and then breaking it out as a team grows bigger. I do think that's my new current sort of feeling right now. I mean, you can build like that. That's the other thing, is like you can build a monolith and then have the monolith act like a microservice too, where it's sending events back and forth to each other. Like we can build a Rust application and have every communication between things use channels instead of just calling methods on each other. That is like that then makes a monolith act like a microservice. So in that case, that works too. Yeah, so like it goes back and forth. I think like so far what I have noticed is that we're building like front end applications. State management is where the complexity really starts coming in and getting a little bit nasty. So if I have a small front end app and it's only dealing with one small thing, so it's not a micro front end because that name is taken up by silly things like it's a button that's been deployed and that's it, like just a button. That's a little bit too micro for me. It's more of like this is an application that's like only for this one thing. Maybe there's a router and a couple pages in it, but it's like really dealing this one side of the business. If I do that, then the state management for it becomes incredibly easy to handle. State in the front end is complicating it. So state in the front end can make things pretty complicated if you're not careful. Because like if try to maintain a minimum state in the front end, that's like the general idea. And then where I found is that if you have state, because like if you have state for two completely different business applications, I have noticed so far, then you start having functions that are doing two completely different things in the same places or near each other, and then things get confusing. Now this might be because I don't have any senior devs on my team, and so therefore like I need to keep things really simple for everyone who's working on it. Otherwise, broken windows comes into effect, and then everything just goes down. How am I managing state on the front end? So I'm using in Vue, like we're doing a lot of Vue stuff. So in Vue, we're using Vuex, and I'm keeping everything into that one single Vuex store in that state. Like Redux, yeah, equivalent to that. And then I'm trying to like keep all the functions for that, like all the mutations for that state, into a single location too. Yeah, Vuex is, think of it like Redux, but it's a little bit simpler. It feels like a little bit easier to set up. React has used context, which is my favorite of all the solutions. That's a relatively new, right? I stopped using React right before the context API became like the big thing. Vuex is like super lightweight. Like it's it's very compared to Redux, which is like what I think a lot of people would compare it to. It's super easy. It also helps that it's not trying to work with other things. Like heck, it's Vuex. It's less than Redux, but more than use context. Okay, so that's nice. Just a single store. I usually try to keep it to a single store, but that's also because our front ends are pretty light and like solid. Like the front end is not being used for multiple purposes. And when it is, I usually switch to, okay, let's just have two front ends and then just link to each other with HTML, like HTTP. That way you just like redirect to this other app and go use that one instead because it's not the same. That's sort of like my thought process right now. Like a good state example on the front end is authentication. Right, yeah. Because you have to maintain the cookie jot token somehow. Right, it has to be in let's see. There's several different places to store state. I think the simplest one and the one that like works between different applications is the URL. Like the URL is a place to store state, and it's not always the best place, but sometimes it is. Cookies are a good place to store state. Local storage is now getting into security hazard places, and then memory is the best place to store state for security purposes, but it has no, retention. So yeah, it depends on like where that is. I usually use things like cookies to be a backup, or like a storage over like refreshes. And then I use memory, so that would be like Vuex, as like the app uses the state, and then we'll init on first load, go do something else, and then when something changes, I might periodically save state to cookie, save state to something else. When I transfer between applications, put state into URL and pass it that way. I feel like, heck, even within the same application, URL might be a good place to save the state. Like, hey, this is the current ID that we're looking at. Yeah, on init, you can grab a bunch of crap all at once. Exactly. And lazy load, yeah. I mean, and lazy load, although this is a fun thing. Like, if you're doing applications that are for like people want to use, you have more time to spend on it. Like people say like, oh, you have like 2.3 seconds to load your website before somebody will leave it. That's not exactly true in all circumstances, because if you are a captive audience, like let's say you really want to load up you really want to load up your website, Twitch, let's say, to go watch a stream. If Twitch takes 10 seconds to load, you're there to watch Twitch. You are waiting for it to load. You don't really care. If you're not sure what you're looking for and you're just sort of browsing the internet, that's when that 2.3 or whatever seconds comes in. Like you need that loading fast. Yeah, no, totally agree. This is the reason why I haven't needed to do server-sided rendering in a long time, is because I just don't need that. Like I can just load it, and as long as it loads within a reasonable amount of time, nobody really cares. And then the ones that are actual real clients are using, they don't care because they were compared to like other ancient applications that are really slow and really terrible. So it's like, okay, doesn't matter. We're okay right now. I mean, yeah, if it's 10 seconds, that's a big problem. We replaced an application So we had data that was on DynamoDB. We had AppSync connected to it. AppSync is fast, but DynamoDB is slow to do queries on. And like, especially once you have millions of items in there, it was taking 10 seconds per page. So you'd sit there and go like, okay, I want to go to the next page now. And it's like, okay, wait. Then the next thing would load. But like, our app loads quickly, but then it takes 10 seconds for that data to come in. Yeah. Many millions of items. It was, I mean, the big problem was that the people who initially started using DynamoDB were not using it correctly. So no, we were not. We only were displaying like 10 at a time or so. But the problem was they were trying to use DynamoDB as a relational type database type thing, but there are no relationships in DynamoDB. So we'd have to do a query from DynamoDB, find just the things that we're looking for, and then do another query back to DynamoDB again. Okay, now get me more items, and then like do this several times to build up the object that we need, and then ship that to the front end. And that made it so terrible. That's the problem. It wasn't delivering all the data to the client at once because it was delivering the data. Well, yeah, we were using Lambda functions to like try to like, okay, grab this data like and get it, but it would have to do this like multiple passes back at DynamoDB. It was absolutely terrible. We eventually put an index on DynamoDB, but it was too late. It took over 2 weeks for the index to take. That was not fun. You have 10K records in your database, but you only display 10 MSN. We query just requests. Yeah, so in a normal database, that would work. Absolutely, that would work. The problem that we were running into here was that, okay, give me the first 10 items that have these things. Okay, in any kind of system like a SQL, even in Mongo, that would be fast. In DynamoDB, for some reason, that's really slow to search through all of these items and just say like, only give me these things and then 10 of them. But then that only gives us part of the data. Now I need to go back to DynamoDB again, say, do another query based upon these items and these things, go give me these other query items. And keep on doing that until all the objects are built up, because DynamoDB doesn't have relationships. But they used it as if it was a relational database, which is not good. Not a good idea at all. The slow part is the size of the data you're sending to the client. No, not in this case. It's the slow part was the having to like query DynamoDB like 10 times to get like one object. There's a lot of caveats to DynamoDB. It's great for what it is. If you use it wrong, it's terrible. Oh yeah. If you use it wrong, it will make things horrible. All right, let's go back to this. That was an interesting segue. Let's see. Segue? No, distraction. Let's take a look at it. Okay, so we have sec. We're trying to put this into here. HTTP. Yep, IO is pretty bad. There's all sorts of fun, weird things. Plus that you can only search through 3,000 items at a time by default without doing something special. If I remember correctly, we ran into that a lot, where we'd have to like say, okay, give us chunks of 3,000 items, and if we can't find it, then give us the next chunk of 3,000 items, and then we'll like search for that there. And the order that we wanted things in wasn't always guaranteed, especially since they stored the things that we're looking for in an object in DynamoDB, which can only hold a string, so it wasn't a real object, it was just stringified JSON. It just made things really hard. Okay, so we're gonna have this property at t with a timestamp. So where's my, oh, I want you, come back here. We eventually created a primary key, but the primary key was a UUID. So, also not super helpful when we're trying to say like, get us the latest, like get us like these ones, but search by timestamp, but also search by app. I don't know, like it was really bad. Okay, so we're gonna do JSON. Okay, so at t, and we want this to be something like 2022 05. Yeah, I mean, I've given up on DynamoDB until I find like have actually something that's really good to use it on. Let's just do this no time of day. I think that'll be fine. You don't enjoy it when somebody thinks they understand it. Like, I've been burned by it, so now I'm terrified of it. That's my thing, is I'm terrified of it. I am hoping that when I run into a situation where it's actually going to be useful to me, I will use it. But until then, I am staying away from it until I do find that, because it is so easy to hurt it. Okay, we can do a fully rendered message describing the event. So at m. So this is my event from Thunder client. MT, alternative to message. Oh, a message template. Okay, nice. Don't need that. This is the renderings for the message template. Level. Implementation. Okay, absence implies informational. I did remember I can create my own levels, kind of, but it's aware of certain levels and it really wants you to use those. So that's fine. X is exception, language dependent error. Okay, so this can be a backtrace. I don't have one right now. I, an event ID, requires a numeric value if present. So I won't do an ID. So if I hit this there, body JSON, I'm gonna have to do a content type, application JSON. If I send this, 400 bad requests. I bet I need authentication of some kind. Malformed. Oh, I should have gotten an invalid. Okay, so it really just doesn't like this. That's interesting too. Okay, so body, okay, so, oh, form and code. Can I do that? No. So at T, 2, 0, 5, 3, at M, this is my message. No, still doesn't like that. Headers, 400. So what am I doing wrong? Just copy you, and we'll throw you in here. Aha, okay. That worked. I was... Huh, okay. I don't know what the big difference between mine and zeros I wonder if the time was wrong. I wonder if I remove this. Oh, okay, I like that. So MT, if I just do M. Hello, Alice, and I remove this. Okay, I don't know what I did wrong. But this now should show us several logs. So if I hit refresh, here are our logs. Okay, so everything seems to be working just fine. Yeah, so there's me. I'm the senior on the team, but I'm also the team lead and manager. So I get programming time, but not really. My time is really to level up all of my people, mostly juniors and mid levels. So like I would say like between junior and mid level. Maybe some like we're getting a new person in who should be more mid level-y, but yeah. And then that has like its own requirements for like making sure that everything is making sure that everything is set up in a way that they can understand and work with it, because that's kind of like it's kind of important for moving forward fast and with high quality. You haven't worked with them yet? If you were on my team, you'd be working with everybody really quickly. Like that would happen a lot. That's one thing that I do a lot. I'm very passionate about is making sure that we all work together as a team and not a group. But I've also been studying a lot of like team theory and like how teams work. It's very interesting and fascinating science, and I can just talk forever about that. Oh, it takes so long to get into a code base. Absolutely. Agreed. Okay, so we have sec set up here. So what we can do is I want to, like the next thing is going to set up our U application, get that into Docker Compose just to have it in there, because that'll be nice for development purposes. I don't have to launch them separately. Then every time we launch it, we'll have sec here. When we get a backend, we can add that into Docker Compose too. And then I want to hook up U so that it sends events and create like some kind of like logging system for that. I'm not exactly sure what that's going to look like. We'll figure that out. Other thing is like this is like sort of like a long project. There's a lot of boring parts to it. Like this is probably boring to watch and look into. So I've been playing around with some like fun things we can do with still Rust development, just as interludes every once in a while. And I've been really eyeing trying Screeps again, specifically because Screeps Arena came out recently. So last night I was actually able to get the one of the Screeps Rust, or I guess like the Screeps Rust codebase. Like their API thing working, so I was able to control kind of some creeps. So one of these days, we'll figure it out. I don't know what a good cadence is yet. We'll do some AI development with Screeps, and we'll see how far we can get into that game. It should be fun. Maybe we'll do that as an after work thing, but most likely it'll be a, hey, you know what? I'm bored of this. Let's take a break and write some AI to like beat each other up, steal each other's flags. So it is 8:21, so I'm gonna head off to work. I'm gonna push this code on up, and I think that's all I've got. So with that, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Mountain Time to do something. And we'll see you. Oh yeah, it's not a holiday this week. Next week, Monday, it is a holiday. So I think so. Well, it's Victoria Day. Well, happy Victoria Day, and have a good celebration for whatever Victoria Day celebrates. And then I will see you tomorrow for another normal not holiday here in the States. Bye.